Welcome to another deep dive, all about some pretty advanced English vocabulary.
Yeah, visually engaging vocab. Who knew?
So we are going to break down 12 advanced English words today. Their pronunciation, how they're used by native speakers.
It's really interesting to see how much you can really glean from seeing these words used naturally.
Yeah,
It just brings them to life in a way that just a definition on a page just can't quite capture.
absolutely. And that's what we're all about here, right? Bringing this stuff to life. So let's jump right into our first word, which is bleak. I don't know about you, but when I hear the word bleak, I get this image of a very desolate, empty landscape, like, one with kind of like a gray sky.
That's a great image, yeah. And I think that really evokes that sense of coldness and emptiness that the word carries,
Yeah.
And almost a feeling of despair, like a sense of hopelessness.
Yeah, it's like you can feel the chill when you hear that word.
Right.
It's heavy. I feel like it's often used in literature or films to foreshadow something kind of bad coming up.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It has that power to create a sense of foreboding,
Yeah.
like a hint that things might not turn out so well.
Oh, I like that. A hint that things might not turn out so well.
Yeah.
Okay, so bleak. Check. Let's move on to daunting.
Daunting.
This one, for me, is about a feeling of being overwhelmed by a challenge. Looking at something and thinking, oh, wow, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah. That's that moment when you kind of look at something and go, can I really handle this?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Can I handle this? The example of the mountain's sheer size was daunting to the climbers.
It's a great example because you can almost feel their hesitation,
Yeah,
the weight of the challenge ahead of them.
right.
But what I think is interesting is that daunting doesn't necessarily imply failure.
Oh, that's a good point.
It just acknowledges that difficulty.
Yeah.
The magnitude of what lies ahead.
So it's not I can't do it. This is going to be tough.
Exactly. And that's kind of where its opposite, undaunted, comes in. Yeah.
Which is that spirit of perseverance.
Yes.
That refusal to be cowed by the difficulty.
So if you're undaunted, you're saying, bring it on. I'm ready for this challenge.
Hit me with your best shot.
Exactly. Okay, now, the next word is a bit of a sneaky one. Unwitting.
Ah, unwitting.
It describes someone who is unaware of what they're doing or the effects of what they're doing. They're not intentionally doing something bad. They're just, clueless.
Yeah. They're completely unaware of the implications of their actions.
Yeah.
And often they're not intentionally doing harm. They just kind of have no clue.
Yeah. The example they use in the video is he was an unwitting participant in the scam.
Ooh.
So they're being taken advantage of.
Yeah, it evokes a sense of pity,
Yeah.
sympathy for the person who is unwitting.
It makes me think of like a comedic scenario where someone accidentally starts a whole chain of events that, creates total chaos.
Oh, yeah. That's a great analogy. And they had no idea. They had no idea what they were doing. Okay, let's get ready because our next word is egregious.
Oh, egregious.
Now this one, I think of it as, something that is just so blatantly, obviously bad.
It's reserved for mistakes or offenses that are just shockingly awful.
Yes.
They really just demand attention.
Yes, like showing up to a wedding in a swimsuit.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Egregious.
An egregious fashion faux pas, yes.
The example is, his egregious disregard for safety put everyone at risk.
Yeah.
And it's pronounced egregious, not egregious.
That's a great point.
Got to get that right.
Yeah, it's those small pronunciation details that can really elevate your spoken English.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to a word that might describe someone with a, let's just say, not so pleasant attitude, and that word is sanctimonious.
Sanctimonious?
This is for those people who love to act like they are morally superior to everyone else.
Yes, they love to preach, they love to judge.
Right.
And they often do it in a way that makes you want to roll your eyes.
Yes.
It's that holier-than-thou attitude.
Yes, exactly. The example is, his sanctimonious attitude made him unpopular.
I can imagine why.
You can see why. Okay, let's move on to someone who maybe doesn't have such a superior attitude. They're just kind of unlucky, and that is someone who is hapless.
The hapless individual.
Yeah, this is someone who always seems to be in a wrong place at the wrong time, kind of like that cartoon character who always gets hit with an anvil.
Yeah, they just can't seem to catch a break.
Yeah, the classic example is the hapless traveler lost his passport.
Oh, no!
Yeah. It's like, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, it evokes this feeling of sympathy for the individual.
Yeah, what else is going to happen to you? All right, next up we have trite. Now this one, you might not think this is an advanced word, but it can be tricky to use correctly.
Right.
Trite. It's about expressions or ideas that are just so overused that they've lost all their meaning.
Yeah, they've become stale and predictable. And uninspired?
Yeah.
Kind of like that cheesy pickup line you've heard a million times.
Yeah, like, come here often! So overused. Okay, so the example the video gives is, his ideas were dismissed as trite and unoriginal.
Ouch.
And what's interesting about this word is that it's pronounced with a short I sound because it's followed by a voiceless consonant, the T. Trite.
That's such a good point. And, those are the types of subtle pronunciation rules that can really make a difference in how clearly you're understood.
Absolutely. So let's move on from the trite to the ubiquitous.
Oh, ubiquitous.
This word describes something that is so common, so widespread, that it's basically everywhere.
It's like it's inescapable.
Yes, exactly.
You just see it everywhere you turn.
So think of things like smartphones, social media, or even like those pop songs that you just can't get out of your head.
That you hear everywhere you go.
Yeah, you're at the grocery store, they're playing it. You're in the car, they're playing it. It's everywhere. The video actually mentions that McDonald's and Starbucks are ubiquitous these days.
Yeah, and they're not wrong.
It's so true. You can't walk down the street without bumping into one.
And it makes you think about the cultural implications of something being so ubiquitous.
That is an interesting point.
Yeah.
Like, what does it say about our, society that those things are everywhere? Interesting thought. Okay, let's move on to adamant.
Adamant.
Now, this is for those people who are just so resolute in their decisions or their beliefs. They're not changing their mind. They're sticking to their guns.
They're unshakable.
Yes.
Unwavering.
My way or the highway.
Absolutely convinced of their position.
The example that they use in the video is he was adamant about not going to the party.
Yeah, you can almost hear that stubborn refusal in his voice.
And the pronunciation here is key. Adamant, not a damn at.
Yeah, and that's especially important, I think, for speakers who might be used to pronouncing that D sound more forcefully.
Right. Okay, let's move on to callous, a word that describes someone who lacks empathy. Basically, they're just insensitive and uncaring.
Yeah, they really just seem indifferent to the pain they might cause.
Yeah, like they don't care. It's sad. And the example they give in the video is, his callous remarks hurt her feelings.
Oh, that's tough.
Words can hurt, and that's a good example of that. And again, pronunciation is key here. Callous.
Right.
Similar words like famous or generous.
Right, where that nuances ending kind of becomes almost silent.
Yeah, callous. Okay, last but not least, we have distraught.
Distraught.
Now this one, for me, it's about someone who is just deeply upset or worried. They're very distressed, they're anxious.
They're like a state of just heightened anxiety and distress.
Yeah. Think of like someone who just received really bad news or they witnessed a traumatic event.
Yeah, the video kind of portrays this beautifully with the child was distraught after getting lost in the store.
Yeah. And again, pronunciation is key here. Distraught. That long sound.
It's a word that really requires a certain emotional weight in its delivery.
Yeah. You have to feel it. Wow, we just went through a lot of words.
We did.
And we didn't even get through all 12.
But before we jump to part 2, I do want to highlight something that the video emphasizes, and that's the importance of context.
Yes. Context is key.
Because it's not just about knowing the definition of a word, it's really about understanding how to use it in different situations.
Absolutely. So we'll be right back with part 2, where we explore even more words and their meanings.
Welcome back to our exploration of advanced English vocabulary.
It's pretty amazing how much depth there is to like even simple words,
Right. It's what makes language so fascinating. It's always like evolving and changing.
Yeah, speaking of evolving, remember that pronunciation tip from part 1 about short vowel sounds when they're followed by a voiceless consonant?
Oh, yeah, like trite.
Trite, exactly.
Right.
It's subtle, but it makes a big difference in how clearly you pronounce words like right, light, white.
Yeah, especially for, folks working on their American accent.
It's like a little secret code that unlocks fluency.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's jump back into our list. Proliferate. I think of something spreading rapidly, like a vine taking over a garden.
That's a great visual. It really captures that sense of rapid growth or multiplication.
The video didn't really give specific examples for this one, but we could imagine things like Rumors about the scandal proliferated online, or new coffee shops seem to be proliferating in this neighborhood.
Yeah, those are perfect examples. It's just something expanding quickly and maybe even a little uncontrollably.
Okay, let's shift to a word that's maybe a bit more slippery. Ambiguous. It's
Ambiguous.
all about, like, uncertainty, not knowing exactly what something means.
It's like a riddle, right? Open to multiple interpretations.
Yeah, it's that feeling you get when someone gives you, like, vague instructions, and you're like, what do you actually want me to do?
Right. The video didn't really give us specific examples for this one either, but we could say something like, the politician's statement was deliberately ambiguous, leaving voters confused about his stance. Or the ending of the novel was so ambiguous that it sparked endless debates among readers.
I love that example. It just captures that sense of mystery and, like,
Yeah.
open-endedness.
And, it's interesting how ambiguity can be used intentionally to create suspense or provoke thought.
Yeah, yeah. Or to avoid taking a clear stance, which can be frustrating. Okay, detrimental. I think of this word as something that's just harmful, damaging, like a poison.
Yeah, that's a strong analogy. Detrimental really implies this clear cause and effect, where one thing leads to negative consequences for another.
Yeah. And the video gives the example, smoking is detrimental to your health.
Straightforward, but it really illustrates the meaning perfectly.
Yeah, you often hear it in, discussions about issues, social problems, even personal choices.
Exactly. It highlights that potential for harm, that negative impact.
Okay, let's lighten the mood a bit with a word that is often associated with creativity and innovation. Novel. I always think of a new book, but, it can also describe a fresh idea or a unique approach.
Yeah, in this context, novel means new, original, unique.
Yeah.
It's that spark of ingenuity that leads to, groundbreaking inventions, fresh perspectives, unconventional approaches.
Something that aha moment when you come up with a solution that nobody else has thought of.
Yeah, exactly. The video doesn't give us specific examples for novel, but we could say, like, the architect's design for the skyscraper was praised for its novel use of sustainable materials, or the chef's novel approach to fusion cuisine created a culinary sensation.
Ooh, I like that. It's a good one. Implications. This one often comes up in discussions about consequences. It's a weighty word.
Yeah, it is. Implications really refers to those possible consequences or effects of, an action, a decision. It's that moment when you kind of pause and consider those potential ripple effects of your choices.
Yeah, like you're playing chess and you have to think several moves ahead.
Exactly. The video uses the example. The court's ruling has far-reaching implications for freedom of speech.
It suggests that this decision could really impact, like, how people communicate, how they express themselves.
It's a reminder that our choices can have consequences that extend far beyond just the immediate situation.
Thinking about the bigger picture, controversial. Everything is controversial these days.
It seems that way, doesn't it? Controversial describes anything that causes disagreement, heated discussion, often because it touches on, those sensitive or divisive issues.
Politics, religion, social reforms, those are all pretty controversial.
Yeah, they're often just, rife with controversy. The video didn't give us specific examples. We could say something like, the new art exhibit sparked a heated debate, with some praising its boldness while others condemned it as offensive. Or, the proposed changes to the education system were met with strong opposition from parents and teachers.
It makes you think about, like, how important respectful dialogue is, and open-mindedness, even when we disagree with each other.
Absolutely. Okay, scrutiny. I always think of, like, a detective with a magnifying glass when I hear this word.
I love that. Scrutiny refers to, careful and thorough examination or
Yeah,
investigation.
it's like a scientist peering through a microscope.
Right, to uncover all those, like, hidden details.
Right, and the video uses the example. The company's finances are under intense scrutiny following allegations of fraud.
Intense scrutiny, yeah. It suggests a serious effort to, like, uncover the truth and hold people accountable. Okay, let's move on to erode. I think of a coastline slowly being worn away by the ocean.
Yeah, it's a perfect image because erode suggests this gradual process of wearing away or diminishing, often due to those external sources.
Yeah.
And it can apply to, not just physical objects, but also to abstract concepts like trust or confidence. And the video mentions the constant criticism began to erode her confidence.
You can just like feel her self-esteem chipping away.
Right. It's a reminder that even seemingly insignificant things can have a cumulative effect, especially if they're, consistently negative.
Yeah. It makes you think about the importance of building resilience
Mm.
and surrounding yourself with positive influences. All right, intricate. This one, to me, it's all about complexity, something that's really detailed or elaborate.
It's like a beautifully woven tapestry, right, where every thread contributes to that overall design.
Yeah, the video didn't give us specific examples for this one, but we could say, like, the artist's intricate sculptures were a testament to her patience and skill, or the scientist marveled at the intricate workings of the human brain.
Those are great examples.
It makes you appreciate the beauty and the wonder of the world around us.
And it highlights, that human capacity for creativity and precision.
So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what stands out to you the most from all of these fascinating words?
What I find really fascinating is how language allows us to capture such a wide range of experiences, from the grand and complex to the subtle and nuanced.
Each word is like a brushstroke, adding depth and color to the canvas of our communication.
And as we continue to expand our vocabulary, we gain more tools to express ourselves with, precision, creativity.
Absolutely. But hold on to your dictionaries, word enthusiasts. We've got one more set of lexical gems to uncover. Stay tuned for the final part of our vocabulary deep dive. And we are back for the grand finale, the final part of our vocab deep dive.
I'm excited to see what gems we uncover in this last batch.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's been like such a journey already, and I feel like I'm learning so much about how, words can really shape how we see the world.
Oh, absolutely. It's like each word is a key that kind of unlocks new ways of thinking and expressing ourselves.
Okay, so let's dive right in. What's the first word on our list for this final stretch?
Let's start with monumental. I always picture, like, those giant pyramids or those towering statues when I hear this word.
Yeah, I get that. It has that sense of like grandeur and something that's just massive and long-lasting.
Exactly. The video doesn't actually give any specific examples, but we could imagine something like landing a person on the moon was a monumental achievement, or the artist's latest work is a monumental sculpture that dominates the city skyline.
Ooh, I like that. It's not just about size, but also about like impact and significance,
Right. It's about leaving a lasting mark on the world.
Okay, so from the grand and monumental to something a bit more internal, let's talk about apprehensive.
Apprehensive.
I think we've all felt this at some point, that feeling of unease or nervousness about something that might happen.
It's like that nervous anticipation, maybe mixed with a little dread. Like the knot in your stomach before a big presentation.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well, or like waiting for, some really important news and you're not sure what it's going to be.
Exactly. And the video doesn't give us specific examples for this one either, but we could say he felt apprehensive about the job interview, especially if the competition was tough, or she was apprehensive about traveling alone but determined to face her fears.
It's a good reminder that a little nervousness isn't always a bad thing, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's a sign that we're pushing ourselves and stepping outside our comfort zones.
Speaking of pushing ourselves, let's talk about succinct, which is all about clarity and efficiency.
Succinct. Love that word. It's about getting straight to the point.
Yeah, like a well-crafted tweet or a powerful headline.
It's about eliminating all that fluff and just conveying your message in a clear, concise way.
It's so important in communication, especially these days where everyone's attention span is like so short.
Right. Going to make every word count. The video didn't provide specific examples here, but we could say the professor's lecture was surprisingly succinct, covering a complex topic in a really engaging way. Or her email was succinct and professional, clearly outlining her request.
It shows that you respect people's time and that you value clear communication.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's move on to a word that's all about change and adaptation. Evolve.
Evolve, I think of like, the amazing diversity of life on Earth and how species have changed over millions of years.
It's that gradual process of transformation and adaptation over time.
And it's not just about biology, right? It can apply to ideas, technologies, even social norms.
Yeah, everything's constantly in flux. And the video gives the example, language is constantly evolving to reflect the changing needs of its speakers.
It's so true. Like, think about all the new words and phrases that pop up all the time.
It's fascinating to see how language adapts to, the world around us.
So from evolution to harmony, which is all about balance and unity. I think of like a beautiful melody or an ecosystem where all the different species live together peacefully.
It's that state of agreement, unity, peaceful coexistence.
Finding balance and creating a sense of wholeness.
The video gives the example, the different cultures in the city coexisted in relative harmony.
It's a beautiful image of like a diverse community coming together.
It's a reminder that diversity can actually be a source of strength.
And that finding common ground is essential, for a thriving society.
Absolutely. Okay, and for our final word on this vocabulary adventure, let's talk about profound.
Profound. Ooh, I love this word. It's like those moments when an idea just hits you so deeply and it changes your perspective.
Yeah, it describes something that's truly insightful, meaningful, thought-provoking.
It could be an idea, a work of art, or even an experience that just stays with you.
The video gives a simple but powerful example. The book had a profound impact on my thinking.
It suggests that the book's ideas were so powerful that they, transformed the reader's understanding.
It's a reminder that learning and growth can happen in the most unexpected ways, and that even a single word can have a lasting impact.
So true. Wow, we did it. We made it to the end of our deep dive.
What a journey.
I feel like my vocabulary has expanded, and I've gained a whole new appreciation for the, nuances of language.
Remember, though, the key is not just to memorize these words, but to use them, in your everyday life.
Yeah, keep exploring, experimenting, and let those words flow.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible linguistic adventure.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those vocabularies expanding.